As last year, the travel chaos is exacerbated over the Christmas period by the threat, uncertainty of strikes, and it destroys the panto season. It destroys theatre, and of course the digital culture, media, and sport organisation, the ministry that doesn't do very much, that lacklustre ministry, has said nothing about this last year and will say nothing about this year. They think it's all down to a business about transport. Transport has knock-on effects. And what I find so depressing about the strikes is the certainty that the strikes will go ahead, while at the same time the problem for passengers is compounded by the weather crisis as well. So you've got the weather crisis, which stops people travelling, and then you've got the week of strikes coming ahead, which will destroy any hope of journeys. It's becoming almost impossible to use the railway network with any certainty, to plan ahead with any certainty in the UK. It's not just the fact that there's strikes, and it doesn't matter whether you support or don't support the strikers, it is a reality. And oddly, the one thing we can be certain of is that the strikes will happen when promised. The one thing we cannot be certain of is that the trains will run on time. So if you're travelling in Scotland, where 80-mile-per-hour gusts left thousands of homes without power, roofs torn off, the chances of getting to London in the next 10 days are almost zero. Transport operators are going to be dealing with a backlog of cancellations and a failure to get things done because of workers' holidays, because of coming strikes, because of disruption on the systems. So there ought to be a system whereby strikers can target the organisations rather than the customers. It should be possible. And we should be in a position where the organisations would have to buy in alternative transport, whether that is buses or whatever. Simply the assumption that railway companies don't need to worry and can get compensation for withstanding a strike because the government is going to pay them. This is the irony, that actually railway companies are making money out of the strike. Railway companies, in the long run, the problem with the railway companies is that there's not enough trained drivers. There's not enough drivers to take responsibility for the trains. So even if you take a train journey at a normal time, when there's not strikes, when there's not weather disruption, you may well find yourself grinding to a halt because you've got to a stop where there's supposed to be a change of driver, and the scheduled driver isn't available for some reason because his car or her car has got caught up in traffic or whatever, and you've got an hour's delay while you're waiting for a driver because there aren't enough trained drivers on hand to drive the trains. There used to be a point when small children would long to be train drivers. Now no one seems to want to be a train driver. 12 train operators were stuck in the middle of disruption on Wednesday. Delays crisscrossing the network as a result. Floods in the West Coast mainline area in Lancashire. The LNER, people told not to travel because of significant delays, short notice alterations, cancellations. Hundreds left stranded in King's Cross because of flooding in Newcastle and Edinburgh. Services in the southwest disrupted because Paddington Station was closed for engineering works. Do by all means choose the busiest time of the year to have a strike, to do engineering. and to deal with, oh my goodness, unexpected weather conditions in the middle of the winter. There is an element of madness. An element of madness, because at the same time as all this nonsense going on, strikes, weather, and travel chaos, and insufficient staffing, there's also the problem of annual leave. And people in the system say, oh, well, this is frustrating. It's not frustrating, it's irresponsible. And it's irresponsibility from the train operators. And we need to do something about it. I don't think anybody is in any doubt that the way forward is to renationalise the railway networks, because this privatisation nonsense doesn't work, hasn't worked. And for goodness sake, why do something twice? We started off with private networks, we nationalised them, they worked, and then we made them private again, and didn't make the whole system private because we were afraid of going too far. And nothing works. Nothing functions. And it's not as if you've really got competition, because you've only got one network operating on any one line. Well, actually, I say that, and then in rugby we've got two networks operating on the same line, and neither of them are functional. But there we are. Sorry. I hate travelling by rail, and I hate the fact that when you get on a train these days and you open your book or you open your computer and start to do some work, you are assaulted every 5 minutes by announcements about the shop, either open or not open, or about to close, or thanking you, or you're being told which station you're at and how you've got to look after your own baggage to make sure about security. For goodness sake, there has to come a point where the reason that you travel by train rather than by car is so that you can actually get some work done while the process of movement is taking place. Or you can read a book, or you can sleep, but you can't with this cacophonous din of nonsense.